dilemma is the black woman, and by extension is the white woman, is the Latina woman, is every woman. And I'll tell you what I mean by sharing 3 different instances, and I might be jumping across different topics, so try to keep up, okay? Today, I went into the behavior specialist office at the school I'm working at for the summer because I thought I'm dealing with a disruptive student, and I think this actually might be a smart idea to just go to the people that actually trained for working with disruptive students. And I go there, and in that conversation, one of the behavior specialists, a black woman, tells me that this boy is oftentimes wanting to see the other children's private parts. Keep in mind, though, this boy is 10 years old, the other children are 8, and I suspect developmentally he's probably ahead of them, and so he's starting to have questions about his body, how it works, what other people's body parts look like. I mean, boys do it all the time. They do it in the locker room. But instead of looking at it from that lens, instead of having a solution-oriented mindset, this woman looks at me and says, well, adult predators, that's how they start out. Essentially equating this boy's behavior to an adult and ultimately predicting that he's going to be a sexual assaulter. That this 10-year-old boy is absolutely beyond reproach, and his fate has already been decided for him. Now, when I told my mom this story, she was shocked to find out that it was a black woman. And some also might be shocked because it's also a black woman who have been the lead, who have taken the lead on this scholarship pertaining to the school-to-prison pipeline. But it is also often black women that are in these positions to dole out the consequences and the ultimate outcomes for these black boys. Now, let's talk about what then happened later on the train. The first thing that happened is we have this young black man on the train who had a marker in his hand, who decided to write on every empty surface on the subway wall, and this is inside the train, on the train wall, basically telling as a message to the train operators that the trains need a USB charger. Now, this young man looked awful. At some point, his entire ass was hanging out, like bare ass was hanging out, because he was so concerned about expressing his anger in that way that he couldn't even take the time to care about his own self, his own look, his own hygiene. He couldn't even take the time to do that. And this man, clearly very angry, clearly wanted some attention, and clearly wanted to face some type of consequence so that his anger could be justified. Immediately after that, man gets off the train, another man gets on the train, another black man, another young black man gets on the train with no shirt on, has a speaker in tow, and wants to talk about showtime. And he's jumping all around the place, almost hitting people. And we, as the woman in the room, as the people in the room, just sat back and watched. Because the truth of the matter is, we've all given up on that person already. And we just met them a few seconds ago. And of course, we can talk about how the black man's dilemma is also because of the black man. It is. Absolutely. A lot of these black men do not know how to self-regulate. They don't know how to regulate their emotions. They don't even know how to take care of themselves. But before that black man was a man, he was first a boy. And he first had a mother who decided who she wanted to procreate with. A mother who, even before that boy was born, chose not to protect him. And so the reality is, those 2 men that were on the subway acting a fool also have mothers. I don't know if they have a father, because the truth is, most black men aren't even adequate fathers. But the reality is, a lot of black women have been taking on the burden of raising black boys. And I don't know if they're doing the best job. Not because they're there's something wrong with them, but because I just don't think they can do that job alone. And I think so many women are so frustrated with the men in their lives that they put that frustration on the boys. And that is what I believe that social worker or that behavior specialist today was doing. She is so used to seeing young black men ruin their lives that already with this young 10-year-old black boy, she's already decided his fate. And to me, that is dangerous. And that is exactly the type of behavior that then gives permission to other people to criminalize him. And I've already had to deal with a white woman that is absolutely actively doing that. So there's a lot going on, but I honestly would like to say I think it would do black men a huge service if they would go celibate, if they would really take the time to sit with themselves and ask themselves, where did I go wrong? And why can't I figure shit out? Because it's clear to everybody else that you guys are not okay. A number has been done on you all. On you all. I don't care how far up the echelon you've gotten or how far in rock bottom you are. You have been fucked up beyond belief. And I just hope that you give yourself the time and the opportunity to heal. That you give yourself the time and opportunity to take care of yourself. That you give yourself the time and opportunity to learn how to express your anger and your emotions in a healthy way. Because I see that you're hurting. But it's not my responsibility to help you. And I also don't even think I would want to. So as a follow-up to the video I made where I said a black woman told me that a 10-year-old boy is destined to be a sexual predator, I did report her today to the principal. But I can see why people don't report people in the workplace, because immediately after having a great conversation with the principal, I was then told that another person wanted to follow up with me alongside the witness that was in the room when I heard that comment being said. And I didn't have the conversation. I avoided it. Probably have it tomorrow. But I just don't understand, because I thought I was going to be anonymous. It's okay, though. I'm gonna share with my story. But I can see why people don't report nothing in the workplace, because why the fuck am I now being called to the office? That's weird. That's really weird. Do y'all peep how, like, literally no one talks about Breonna Taylor no more? I haven't heard that name in forever. And that's crazy, because I hear George Floyd memorials all the time. Fun fact, did you know Breonna Taylor actually died before George Floyd? Actually, Breonna Taylor was murdered before George Floyd. And if people had mobilized for her death the same way they had mobilized for George Floyd probably would have never even been killed like that. At least that's what some people say. But isn't that crazy? That's black culture for you. As I was taking the subway back home, I stumbled across a black man being arrested by maybe 4 or 5 police officers. And when I tell you, that man was squealing. And I think it's a great example of how emasculating policing is and prisoning is. It's just interesting. It's just so interesting. Like, you know how they say black men are dealing with so many stressors outside of the home that when they do get home, that's why they're abusive to their women and children, or the women and children. I saw it today. I see why. I mean, I say it every day. Like, they look rough. Their lives are tough. And honestly, a part of it is like they bring it onto themselves too. So I don't know. Like, I don't even have anything to say. I just realized that. I just noticed that on the ride back. That was interesting. So, welcome to a new day and another reason why the world hates black men. I'm on the train this morning. I finally get a seat after standing for a few stops. And then suddenly, two black men get on the train. One wearing a chemisette, which is a white beater, as a shirt. And the both of them looking very shabby, looking very pobrecitos. And just looking like they're lost, like most black men do. And they get on the train, and suddenly I smell marijuana, and I start to see smoke. And mind you, it's 6 a.m, and these niggas are smoking a roach on the train. And I know a lot of black men may watch this video and think, well, that's not me. I'm not on the train at 6 a.m. smoking a roach, and it's not fair that you're comparing me to these homeless men. Well, how come on a train full of men, I was the only one, before getting off, looked these two men dead in the eye and asked them, why are you smoking on the train? We have work this morning. I don't want to smell like marijuana. Why am I the only one that thought it was appropriate to talk to these two men like the people that they are? The truth of the matter is, the state of black men is the way it is, not only because you guys hate yourselves, but because you guys are so scared of each other that you're not willing to check one another. And those two men, they looked at me, they acknowledged me, and they said, I apologize. Actually, they didn't say I apologize, they said my fault. And I don't even like my fault as an apology, because it's not an apology, it's an acknowledgement. Because it is your fault. It is your fault. It almost always is your fault. So fix it.
Every time I critique a black man, they always manage to say, like, oh, you're going to regret this because we won't protect you. But I went and learned jujitsu so that I could protect myself from you guys. So why in the hell would I want you to protect me? Be real and be serious.
Latino is the new scapegoat. And this is a video I've been wanting to make since last summer. And it's taking me a while because, things happen. But the Latino is the new scapegoat, and I'll tell you why in 2 stories. Last summer, I think I was coming from maybe Chicago or Atlanta, something along those lines, and I was on the bus coming from the airport to just transfer to my next train to get home. And there were 2 black men on the train that were arguing, and essentially one of the black men got sunned, and then the black man who sunned him got off the bus. And then a Latino man came on the bus, and I don't remember what happened, but there was some kind of altercation. I think maybe the Latino man's book bag touched the black man who had been sunned, and suddenly the black man just started going in on him, yelling at him and just telling him to move and this, that, and the third. And it was so clear that this black man wasn't really angry at the Latino man. He was more so angry at the other black man that had just gotten off the bus, but he was taking it out on the Latino man because he was an easier target. And then similarly today, I'm on the train, and this Latino man had actually just given me a seat because I was just losing my balance all over the place. And this one Latino man, this is not the same guy that gave me the seat, but this one Latino man is standing, he gets on the train, he has his backpack on, and he's standing right next to a black man. This black man out of nowhere just says, take your backpack off, man. Take your backpack off, man. Your backpack off, man. And again, it's like, why are you giving this anger to this man so unwarrantedly? And I think the truth is there is a lot of friction festering and building between the Latino community and the black community, specifically between the men. And I think it's more so on the part of black men to Latino men, more explicitly. But I do think implicitly there is some envy, some jealousy festering as well, where I think a lot of African Americans are convinced that Latinos have received benefits that African Americans have not received. And I want you to know that you're both being played. Both of you guys, you're being played. Essentially, the United States is just giving out reparations, and the reparations for the Latinos have ended, as you can see. And, the reparations for black people, I don't think has gotten started. So in some ways it has, though. A lot of ways it has. But yeah, I think there's a lot of jealousy, a lot of anger that exists between these two communities. And it's so clear that it's building, it's festering, it's growing. And I don't really know what's going to happen or what's next, but I do see it. And I do think the Latino is the new scapegoat. I'm not just talking about the white Latinos. I'm not just talking about the fair-skinned Latinos. I'm also talking about the blackest, the Haitianist Latinos. We definitely are the new scapegoat. And it's a shame that so many of you are falling for it. Same old tricks, different day, different time. Same stupidity, if you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. I was laughing a bit too much, so I just want to make that argument clear. Latino is the new scapegoat because now everybody in America sees the Latino as the root, as the cause of their problems, and is taking out a lot of their anger that really is meant for the government on the Latinos, who are also just oppressed people trying to find a better life. Okay, that's my point, and that's my argument. Adios. And also, the old scapegoat is the black man, and I think the black man is really excited to have a new scapegoat so that they don't have to take the brunt end of everyone's anger. Okay, that's it for real. Adios. So I made a video the other day saying that the Latino is the new scapegoat, and I want to expound a bit further. It's quite interesting that there does exist this conflict between black men and Latinos, because black men are quite literally in the same positions that I see a lot of Latinos who are just now entering the country are in. They are on the subways, panhandling, begging for money. I just was on the train. This guy came on talking about he's trying to raise money for this black man came on talking about he's trying to raise money for his 3 kids. One of them has autism, he's nonverbal, and was singing on the train trying to make money, and he made no bread. He gave 2 renditions, made no bread. And I think it's just quite interesting that you're beefing with people, saying that they're receiving more benefits than you, but you've been in this country longer than them. Your bloodlines have been in this country much longer than most. I mean, that's what you guys say all the time. You foundational black Americans, that's the argument. So what's going on? Why are you in the same position as these immigrants? Does that make sense? And we can talk about systemic everything. We can. And also, how are these systems now reflected in your everyday actions? I would like to know. And I think instead of beefing with the Latinos who just entered this country, I think it might be beneficial for black men and just overall black Americans to inquire from your government, why? Am I in this position, in the same position as people that just entered this country? Maybe it's time to take your power back, since this is apparently your country.
So yesterday, I ran into a former coworker of mine who was my superior, and we got into a conversation about immigrant kids, and specifically the older ones. I had mentioned that with the older kids, it's really hard to inspire them to find learning to be a cool and enriching experience, and I find that it's difficult to inspire that feeling in them more than I do with the younger kids. And she immediately said, well, you know, our immigrant school population, they're not like the other kids. What they've been through is completely different, and completely different from what you've been through. And now this is somebody that doesn't really know my background, but again made an assumption about me based on, I assume, what I look like, how I speak, and also where she found me, which is I was at a horse riding place. So, you know, that screams the disposable income, you know? So she said that, and I was like, well, I immigrated here from Haiti when I was 5, and it wasn't under the same circumstances. My family and I came here legally. We actually waited about almost a decade, I think, to get citizenship, if not longer. But these same experiences in terms of coming here and into a new country, not knowing the language, being extremely poor, I actually live a very similar life to a lot of the kids that I've been teaching for the past 2 years. I mean, I've been teaching in my old high school, in my old school district, So I'm very familiar with these stories, and though we all have different stories, I know where I came from. But in a way, though, she's right, because she said a lot of these kids are being groomed to see themselves as providers for their family. And when I was a teen, I did have to become a provider for my family, but it was under a different circumstance. And in reality, the reason why I went after education so hard is because as a kid, I was very observant about the lives that women around me were living. And I realized that if I wanted to be the type of woman that I want to be, a globetrotter, a successful, wealthy, accomplished woman, I couldn't go down the same path that my family members did. And so I don't think it's that I was receiving different messaging. I don't think it's that my family was this exceptional family and they managed to pour something into me that other kids don't receive. I think I genuinely observed and realized that the life I was reading about and that I wanted to live could not be possible if I wanted to get married and have children and not pursue an education and not take advantage of the opportunity that God blessed me with. The truth of the matter is, everyone is being groomed to be something. But the minute you look at these kids and you give up on them because you think they're too far gone, is the minute that you reduce them to their physicality. And I think if that's how my teachers had viewed me, I would not be where I am today at all. And so that is why I don't like this presumptuous behavior I keep coming across. I don't like how we are looking at immigrants, because we look at them as these perpetual victims instead of people that are fully in control of their destinies and have so much power to shape their path. I don't like that. And I think I actually prefer the past rhetoric we had about immigration in this country, how we are all so many different colors and we all come from so many different places, all to be here at the same exact moment. Right now, the immigration discussion, it's very fractured, and I think it's doing a lot more harm than good.
About a year and a half before I started listening to Your 7, I had a friend from the metropolitan area that taught me to view men as resources. And I really appreciated her perspective because it meant that men didn't have to have money, men didn't have to be rich in order to be resourceful. And I'm thinking about her a lot more this week because I had an experience that really illustrated what she was talking about. I was approached by this guy while I was waiting for the bus to go home. And it was hot outside. I had my fan out. I was fanning myself. And he came up to me and he said, "Hey, step over here." And I was confused. I thought he meant maybe there was an air conditioner underneath the door. And he was like, "No, like go into my shop. This is my barber shop and there's AC inside. I want you to be cool." I go in and he tells me, "I love your hair. I would love to cut your hair for free. I want to give you designs. I want to hook you up." And I was kind of like, I don't really need it because I cut my own hair now. And honestly, it's not really complicated. I just do a zero and I cut everything off and I go about my way. So it didn't really seem like a need. But he took my number down and he kept on pressing the issue. And finally, I gave in. And 2 days later, I was in his shop. He gave me this really nice haircut. He did give me the designs. And he did what he had to do. And he dropped me off at my horseback riding lesson. He picked me up again yesterday on Friday. He brought me to the bus station. And he even offered, he said, "For the month of July, while you're working out here, I want to bring you to where you need to go." And I respectfully declined. But that's what I mean, is men can be of service and they don't need to have money in order to be of service. And I think that when women are in this mode of, I have to find a financial provider, it actually limits how much fun and how much access you can gain by really interacting with more men in your immediate environment. Every man is not going to be your Prince Charming, but most men have something to offer. And it actually boosts their ego when you are willing to acquiesce to what they want to give you. I'm not saying that, again, that man has to become your husband, but don't limit what you can have just because that the man isn't necessarily your dream come true. Because it's not about him being your dream come true. You're going to meet so many people on your journey to finding your dream come true. But why not? Why not? Why not have fun? Why not accept the gifts he's willing to offer you because of how beautiful you are? Absolutely. And I'll take it every single time, because why not? Why not? Men can be resources even without money. And I think the more that we limit our scope to finding financial providers with money and only those types of men, we're missing out on a slew of men that would love to serve you just because you're you. Just because you're you. And I understand we don't want to give up the cookie, but a few kisses are fine. But real talk. Yeah. Men move entirely way too quick, and it actually fucks up the connection that you're forming with them. It's a huge turnoff. Why are we kissing and immediately you're pulling your dick out and telling me to jerk you off? I think that's very weird. Like, I don't know. Like, for me, I just think, like, why are we doing this? Why did you just meet me and now you're telling me you love me? Why did you just meet me and now you're telling me that you want to be my boyfriend? I don't fucking know you. And you don't know me. I had to tell a man the other day that crack called me. I said, you don't even know if I'm an axe murderer, sir. Like, what's going on? He said, I know you're not that. I'm like, don't judge a book by his cover. Because I promise you, a lot of men ain't safe around me. And that's real talk. That's real talk on them. And they would never guess because look at my face. And if you really want to know what I mean, I've been blocked by men before. So. And I know jiu-jitsu hoe.